Is this the Rookie CEO podcast?
Yeah, I think we're in the right place.
Oh, Hev, it's recording. This is Fuzz.
And I'm Hev, and you're listening to the Rookie CEO podcast. Okay, welcome back. So we have Beth Turner with us again from Conversations Unlimited. So today we're going to be talking about...
how to remember
memory loss
memory
as business owners.
How to
deal with awkward conversations. And I
Very
don't
good.
deal with them, so that's why I paused.
I'll be dealing with one after this about to Heather. Anyway, so yes, welcome, Beth.
Thank you.
We're going to just do 5 top tips in this episode
Okay.
on how to deal with
5
awkward conversations. We all do it. We all have awkward conversations.
We do.
What's your most awkward conversation you've ever had, Beth?
Oh, I've had... It's impossible.
There's got to be one up there. Maybe with your husband.
So many awkward conversations. But actually, one of the things that I pride myself on is having what I call a conversation vault. Okay. So I put awkward or sensitive conversations in a vault, and I don't ever talk about them again because I don't like trading on gossip. And I don't like sharing stories that aren't mine. And so I put anything that might be awkward in that category away. And I just think,
Is it never open?
No.
Not even at home with your husband or anything?
No. It's for 2 reasons. One, I don't like to trade on other people's stories because sometimes awkward conversations are often vulnerable, and that I think people deserve the respect that doesn't get repeated. But secondly, I don't want to hold the energy of that. And I think sometimes when we talk about something that wasn't positive or was difficult, unless we're trying to get better at it, we just almost evoke all the emotions over again. So I kind of just bless and release those conversations. But I have had lots of awkward conversations, work, family, friendship groups. So I've picked up some top tips along the way, and it's something that lots of people don't always feel comfortable to do.
Well, let's work in ascending order then. What's your biggest top tip?
Right, I think the first, if I could gift somebody something to consider when it comes to having an awkward conversation, it would be to give the person you're talking to grace. So give them the generosity of spirit that says, I don't think you intended to upset me. I don't think it would have been your intention to be an arse. I don't think you intended to wake up and give really poor performance at work today. Yeah. So I am assuming something's happened that's led to that. And I am interested to give that some airtime to find out what happened. Sometimes we're really quick to blame. So I think top tip number 1 is approach awkward conversations with a generosity of spirit. Because you don't know what's going on in people's lives. And I am a great believer over time that everyone is genuinely just doing the best they can with what they know at that point. And
if you're struggling with that sort of like mindset shift, would you almost say like kill it with kindness? Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
So, and one of the other tips we'll come on to, thank you for segueing beautifully into that, is that clear communication is kind. So clear is kind. Unclear communication is unkind. So when you're having an awkward conversation of anything, remember that the clearer you are in what the problem is, how it made you feel, or what needs to change, the kinder it is. Even if you are delivering bad news, breaking up with someone, their job is at risk, the clearer you can be about what's gone horribly wrong, the kinder it is, because they are under no illusion of not really being totally sure what you meant or what their options are now, and they can make a decision that's best for them. So I think giving people grace and the generosity of spirit that it's not their intention, there's a reason that happened, and being kind enough to give that some space, being really clear, because it is kind when you tackle those things. The third thing I would say to people who know that they need to start an awkward conversation, because there's 2 types, isn't there? It's the ones you start and the ones you find yourself in that you didn't see coming. And so if you know you're going to have to be the one that initiates the conversation, I would say prepare for it. People don't prepare well enough. They run the conversation in their mind. They're upset about something, frustrated about something, and they play it. And I'm going to say this, and they're going to say that, and I'm going to say to them, and I'm going to bring that up. And it all happens internally. So they've run an hour and a half of this conversation before the person that they really want to say it to is in front of them. And that person didn't see it coming, doesn't know that this is something that they're going to be experiencing. And then you blindside them and you expect them to be as up to date with all of your feelings as you are, because you've been percolating on them for 90 minutes.
You know what, this is hilarious, because this week me and my boyfriend, we'd bickered about something really ridiculous that I had thought nothing of it since. And that morning I'd got his breakfast out, I'd left early, so I de-scraped his car and stuff, and he messaged me afterwards and he went, "Thank you so much for doing the breakfast and everything." And he went, "I really wanted to be annoyed at you today. You've killed me with kindness."
Yay!
He went, "Well, how can I be annoyed at her now?"
That's not a very man thing to do. I wanted to be annoyed at you today.
But it made me laugh so much, because it was something really silly and I hadn't thought anything of it since, but it obviously played on his mind, and then he was like, it manifested in his head more than it was.
Yeah. And he's probably been playing that through.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, she does love me. She is nice." And it's funny, like, how if we'd have just maybe had a conversation straight after that, maybe that wouldn't have happened, and there wouldn't have been that. Oh, okay.
Absolutely. And I think when you prepare well for what you're going to say, it's trying to see a person's world through their lens, because we make sweeping assumptions, and we in trying to connect as humans, we try and find the similarities between us and the other people, and you can think that you are in the same place, but you're not. You've never walked the journey they have. And so sometimes if you can give your awkward conversation some prep time where you take yourself out of your shoes and you put yourself in their shoes. What does their world look like at the moment? What else have they got going on? What's happening for them at home? What was the last conversation you've had? What might they be worried about? Try and find the reasons that might explain why their performance or their attitude has wound you up. And sometimes you can kind of then approach the subject with a greater degree of kindness.
Hey Hev, have you heard of IT Managed Services? They're an IT support service based in Kent.
Yeah, I've been with them for over a year now. I love being able to just call them at any point and they take over my computer and fix the issue so much quicker than spending hours on Google.
Why have you kept that to yourself all this time? Right, I need to sign up to these guys. What's their website?
It's it-ms.co.uk, or you can call 01634 218 362.
So I think it is about giving generosity of spirit. It's about being clear, because that is super kind. Preparing, what is it you actually want them to know? Which, if you get good at handling awkward conversations, it's only ever one topic. If you don't tackle them when they happen, what happens is you get the straw that breaks the camel's back, and in that one moment, whatever the small bicker was on a Monday morning, actually it's 17 unresolved issues that have been bubbling. But if you deal with each one, then that little straw will never break the camel's back, because it will be done and dusted in a moment. And to try and see someone's world through their eyes, not making the assumptions. And sometimes that means asking questions, because you can find out a lot about why someone behaved or said or did something from asking good questions. And I think the last one would be practice some phrases that will actually help you. So sometimes people, they worry about how the conversation is going to be received, so they don't actually give any thought to the words, and there are certain things you can say that just trigger people. And sometimes if you can find a phrase that works for you,
it's the approach, definitely. Sorry, because that just gave me PTSD from when I was employed. You get random emails or random text messages from your employer or your boss that will say, when you've got 5 minutes, we need to have a chat.
Oh yeah.
Or something like that.
What's the story you tell yourself?
Yeah. And by the time you have a conversation, all I wanted to talk to you about was what you're having for lunch or something. Yeah. And I'm like, well, you give me anxiety for the last 3 hours of the day.
And I think that is so true. And I coach eyes, voice, fingers as an approach to having an important conversation, where you can have it eyeball to eyeball, because then you get the words, you get the tone, you get the body language, you get the vibe, you can feel all of the communication. If you can't look someone in the eye, then try to let them hear your voice. Because whilst they can't get the non-verbal clues, they do get the tone as well as the words, which can help them understand where you're coming from. The trouble, I think, with most communication comes when it's in written form.
Yes, definitely.
Because a piece of written information, whether it's a text message, email, WhatsApp, whatever, will be read in the mood of the reader and not the mood of the writer.
Yeah.
So the mood of the reader, of the boss, could have been, I'm going to give you a pay rise. When you've got 5 minutes, drop it in. They're all upbeat, they're ready to give you a lovely gift. If your day isn't going particularly well, you'll see that and you'll think, Christ, they've caught me. That bit of work that I didn't do very well yesterday, they found out, because the mood of the reader dictates the story that you tell yourself.
Yeah,
so I think trying to not join up the dots and tell yourself a conspiracy theory.
It happens
easy
every day.
to do, isn't it?
And I love being able to advise that to people, especially my friends, where like they just have things going on with their partners or at work and stuff, and it's just like that. I feel like I'm now programmed because of my experience with bad managers and previously, where I just say it as it is when it happens, which is obviously sometimes can be a bad thing. Going back to your other, like, that removes the preparation. So something that I need to work on there. But I just hate, because we naturally are in our heads. If we especially if we suffer from anxiety, we fixate and we tell ourselves stories that aren't actually happening.
Because I went through a state, I would always avoid difficult conversations and awkward conversations, because then I'd feel like I'd be on a bit of an energy come down for the next few days, because it would literally drain me so much. And someone said to me, it's because you need to be empathetic, not sympathetic. You need to empathise with them and go, okay, I can see why you feel this way, without taking on their energy and their upset or frustration or anything like that. And I think that's why you can feel so deflated afterwards, because, like you said, you put them in a vault, because if you do carry those awkward conversations, it just drains you.
Yeah. And actually, I think I will, if you spend any time with me when it comes to certain things, once they're done and dusted, I will say to him, you need to just bless and release. And we get a lot, have a lot of conversations with people saying, I just don't understand why he did this or they've done that. And I'm like, whoa, it's not your circus. They are not your monkeys. Literally bless and release. You've got to protect your own energy. And therefore there are people that bring you down, and those people are the ones that love to regurgitate an awkward conversation or a bit of gossip or a bit of confrontation, because they they're seeking their human connection by trading on the discussion of that and the outrageous behaviour of so and so. But you never ever feel better. You never feel lifted after one of those conversations. So I think handling awkward conversations, and in business it can just be like an unpaid bill, or it can be a recommendation or something that's through hearsay. It's not letting your own demons jump in and decide why that person said what they said and it's 100% true. It's giving grace and saying, it's unlikely, I'm surprised they would have said that. Or normally they pay on time. And it's just your phrases that make you feel comfortable to say, I'm reaching out, I'm sure this is on your radar, but I don't seem to have received the payment for X. Let me know if I should be looking somewhere else, or I've missed something, or if there's a problem, let's chat it through.
100%. I think it's quite obviously different to do the eyes,
eyes, voice,
fingers for those conversations, because normally it's an email, it's a professional thing. Imagine them sending them a video. Where's my invoice? That would be quite weird. I might try it one day. I don't know later how it goes, Beth.
But I think if the conversation is important and you want to protect the relationship, because that's what ultimately every piece of communication, it either adds a marble to the marble jar that is the relationship, or it detracts one. And when it matters, nobody, I think, will feel hard done by if you're actually dropping them a voice note, even if it's to say, I've just pinged you over an email, it's about an unpaid bill, I'm imagining that it's got lost in somewhere, but just to let you know, that's hit your inbox. You can always top up and soften the written word, because that written words are harsh.
I literally had that recently where I processed the invoice, just forgot to send it.
And wouldn't you rather someone challenge you and say, I've probably missed it, and you can go straight back and say, no, I think I've done,
Yeah,
I've just
it is
looked, I've
absolutely
done it,
fine.
thank you for bringing it. And then it's done.
Exactly that. And at the end of
Rather
the day,
than
it's money
held.
that you are owed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Thank you so much for
You're welcome.
your time, Beth.
And well, before we go,
yes.
what is your question for the next guest? Whether that's mindset, whether it's business, or if you just want to be nosy about something.
I would like the next guest to say, what is the biggest compliment that someone could ever give them?
Oh, I love that.
These are great from you. Thanks for listening,
Love a
guys.
question.
And I will see you again in the next episode of The Rookie CEO.
See you later.
Bye.